Hello, Vinaka. Hi, everyone. We've got a very special guest today, all the way from the beautiful islands of Hawaii. I can see she's there on the beach. Dr. Tarisi, welcome.
Yes, Vinakavalebo Thelma, thank you so much, Vinakavalebo, for the invitation, and I'm looking forward for Atalano today.
Yes, thank you for accepting. I know you're very busy. Before you start, tell us a bit about yourself and where you're from.
Thelma. So my name is Tarisi Sorovi-Vunidilo. I'm originally from the province of Kandavu. My village is Natokalau, and my district is Yawe. I also have maternal links to Kandavu. So my mom, Meriseni Vatu, she is from the village of Nukunuku on the district of Tabuki. So there's 7 of us, and I'm the youngest.
Wow. Yahweh. Beautiful name. Beautiful village name. And so this interview, you know, we're talking about successful Fijians, you know, from in the diaspora. So, you know, I'm very inspired by the work that you do, and you're a trailblazer in all that you do. Tell us a bit about, you know, your work and how you got into this career.
Vinaka, Thelma, yes, I've always been, I think, a child growing up in Fiji. I've always loved reading. So I love reading at a very young age. My mom, she was a reader as well. So I got that interest in reading from her. And also she was an amazing storyteller. And because out of all my siblings, I'm the only one that was born in Suva. And so I missed that life growing up in Kandavu. And so I was always very curious. And I always asked my mom to tell me what her days were like when she was growing up. What kind of things she usually do, you know, gathering firewood, going to fishing, and all those things that she did when she was growing up in the islands. And that made me so interested at a very young age to appreciate other people's cultures and other people's way of life. And so when I went to primary school, that also added value to it, because I went to Nambour Primary School and Nambour Secondary School, which are two you know, schools that sit side by side, but they very much promote the Fijian language and the Fijian culture. And that really resonated well with me because of my upbringing at home and then going to school. That all added up nicely when I kind of was wanting to choose what I want to do later on. And I just joined my interest in people and culture. And I was also, I'm a lover of outdoors. I love going out into the forest and, you know, doing things outside. I love being out in the woods, and that's where I grew up, in Dolisuva, in Fiji, the province of Naitasir. So growing up in Dolisuva and combining that upbringing from my mom and going to Nambour primary and secondary school kind of added that lovely combination of my interests that really propelled me into my career in the museum.
Wow, so you're based in the museum and also with the university in Hawaii?
Here in Hawaii, I'm based at the university in the Department of Anthropology, but I'm teaching museology classes. So I have some classes that I teach that looks at indigenous museology, you know, how to work with indigenous communities in a museum setting. And also my dream is to actually start a museum studies program here at the University of Hawaii Hilo.
Excellent. I can imagine that's already starting to take shape. I'm pretty sure we'll be hearing about it very soon. If I can take you back, you know, to Suva, you went from primary school to high school. What did you do after that in terms of education to get to where you are today?
Thelma. Yes, so my times at Nambour Primary School and Nambour Secondary School. I completed my studies there in Form 4, and then I went over to Antithakumbao School where I completed Form 5 and 6. And then from there, I passed my Fiji School Living Certificate and got a scholarship from the government, Public Service Commission scholarship, and was able to go across to the University of the South Pacific in Suva. So I was really grateful to the Fiji government for giving me a scholarship where I started my studies foundation in 1991, and I graduated with my Bachelor's of Arts majoring in Pacific Geography and Sociology and History in 1994. And that really set me up nicely when a role was opened at the Fiji Museum. I applied and I got in. But I have to say as well that in between my studies at USP from 1991 to 1994, I was selected as an exchange program student to this very university where I'm working. I was here as an exchange student in 1993. So when I went back to Fiji, I was familiar with the words archaeology. I was familiar with the words of anthropology because they were taught here in Hawaii. If I had stayed in Fiji, now that I look back, if the role advertised at the Fiji Museum came up, I wouldn't have recognized the word archaeology because that was in the newspaper, Fiji Times, when I saw the advertisement. And when I saw the ad and I recognized the word, and I was like, oh, I remember that word. I was studying that in Hawaii, and I applied for it and I got it.
Wow. And it's amazing how you went there and then now you've come back again and you're contributing to their program. So two important things you touched on: reading, the importance of reading and how your love for reading, helped you continue on with your education, and also scholarships. Sometimes a lot of us don't realize that there's assistance, right, to help us.
Yes.
So it's good that you did that, and no matter which country we're in, it's worth Pacific people always asking what assistance there is, right, with the schools or with the councils, the government. We need to encourage more of that, don't we?
Absolutely. That's something I really want to encourage our young ones, not to be, mandua or shy to ask questions or go to the different offices like Public Service Commission or any places where they know that there's scholarships. Just go and ask. Sometimes asking a question may open the door for you. And also back in Suva, we have the Suva City Library right in the middle of town, right? And that's something I really want to encourage our parents in Fiji, especially those in Suva. But I also know that there are libraries in different towns all around Fiji. So just encouraging our young ones to read.
Yes. I really enjoyed, in primary school, going to the library after school, reading. Even though we didn't buy a lot of books, we could go to the library and read. So it's a very important resource for young people and all people, all ages.
Yes.
So with your projects, we met on the Veiqia project. Did we meet there or did we meet before? I think we met there, didn't we? Oh no, we met at the museum.
Yes,
That's
at the
right,
museum.
The
When I came over with,
That's right.
with Dion. Yeah, Dion was there.
Who's now back in Aotearoa. Yes,
Yeah.
I remember meeting you, and I was amazed. You came with your sulu chamba, and I was like, wow, here's a woman, from home that's doing well around the world. And, that stuck with me, and it encouraged me to continue with my studying, and I'm still studying. And, just seeing you and the work that you do, just, very inspirational. And then we met again with the ladies in Campbelltown Arts Centre for the project. Can you tell us a bit about that? And I've noticed, there's a lot of interest now with the Veiqia and women interested in marks. Are you able to share a bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I was really happy to have worked alongside Emma Tavola and Luisa Torra. I remembered when we were part of this program in Auckland, where I was asked to develop a program called, I think it was called Women in Leadership. And so this was funded by the New Zealand government through Pacific Education Center, which was known as PEC. And the CEO at that time was Christine Numinan. She's Tongan, but married to a Fijian. And so she called me one day and she said, Tarisi, I've got this pool of funds and I want you to do some workshop that may, be of interest to, Fijian women. And I got really interested. I said, so what do you have in mind? And she was telling me, could you do a program that deals with leadership or something that's may elevate our standing as Fijian women, Veiqia, within the Fijian community in Auckland. And I said, definitely, I'll do that. And so we called it the Veiqia workshop. And so I went to Choana Monalang and I asked her, I said, Choana, would you like to join me and help me with this project? And then Choana invited another of her aunties, Kulaya Bukirea. She's a really amazing mat weaver. She's from the province of Telemu. And so the three of us, we did a couple of workshops at PEC. And so we got a couple of group of women to come and learn how to lay the mats. Remember, we were doing that in Campbelltown, which mat to go down at the bottom and all those. So we were trying to look for what are some roles that Maramanivitis need to know. Whether you are 15 or whether you're 55, we need to know it. And so we identified two things. One was the layering of the mats. The second one was the putting on of the masi on someone, whether it's weddings or birthdays or graduation, whatever function, we need to know what goes first and what, like there's a kind of a protocol, but these protocols were unwritten. And so we took the challenge, and after the workshop, it was an amazing experience. It was, I think, 6 weeks long. After the workshop, we had like an evaluation form. And on the evaluation form was the request by Emma Tavola and Luisa Torra, who were my students in that workshop. They mentioned Veiqia. They were interested to explore this Fijian, rite of passage that was specifically made for women. And that's how the whole Veiqia project was started. But by the time when Emma Tavola started it, I moved to Australia. So I was living in Queensland. And so she contacted me and said, Tarisi, I want you to come with us to Fiji. We're going to the Fiji Museum. And so the whole process started from there, and I went along, and she asked me, if I could be sort of like a cultural advisor, support person. And so that's the role that myself and Choana were playing when the Veiqia started in 2015. And we were so happy because I went back to the places where I started, which was at the Fiji Museum. And they were so happy that we came back. We researched the tattoo collections in the museum collections. We went to USP, we went to FNU. It was an amazing experience. It's like we were going back home to reawaken this art form that has been sleeping for so long. It was an emotional time. There were lots of tears from us as the team, but also tears from the women that we were talking to, because a lot of them didn't know. There was like a 2 or 3 generation gap of information about Veiqia that was not known. So that started from it. In 2016 we had an exhibition, the first one in Aotearoa at the St. Paul's Gallery, and then 2017 we came back to Fiji and we hosted the exhibition there as part of the International Women's Day. So yeah, in 2018 we went to the island of Kia, which is where, based on oral traditions, where the art of Veiqia started through the twins, the Siamese twins that were from Samoa. So yeah, the journey has been amazing, and it is so lovely, Thelma, that this project has connected Fiji, Aotearoa, and Australia. So really acknowledging, Dulcie Stewart and Donita Hume and Charlotte Tawale, and then of course you coming into the picture, and Tori Kambolatangidi, and it's just lovely to see the whole spread of these Maramani Viti working together with our women in New Zealand. Chawana Monolangi, Margaret All, Emma Tavola, Louisa Torres, Sangeeta Singh. And I know it's going to get better and better when it comes to research. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, we're kind of, laying low at the moment, but we hope post-COVID-19, there will be some exciting projects that we will be doing in networking with all the Maramani Vitis around the world. That will be amazing.
Wow, I can see it now in 2021. Very exciting, and it's interesting how, it started from interest and then workshops, and then it continued, it went back to Fiji and then back to Kia. That would have been such an amazing experience to go back to the island where the practice was last, the evidence, right, of the last group of women practicing Veiqia. You mentioned the Samoan Twins. Now, we say to the Samoan gang, Fijians started the tattooing, and even us Fijians don't realize, that, the women practiced it. Only now the information's coming out. But there were actually two twins from Samoa that went to Fiji, and then they saw the practice happening in Kia. Is that how the story goes?
Yes, absolutely. And when they went back to Samoa, they took the art of tattooing or Veiqia with them, back to Samoa. And, the whole story of when they reversed the ones that were to be tattooed. They mentioned about that it was only the women. But then when they was singing a song, and then they saw this Ganivasua down in the ocean, and they went down. As soon as they came up, they kind of lost. Yes, yeah, the clam gori, and then they lost the kind of the flow of the song, and they were saying that the men have to be tattooed. And not the women, but in the song it was the women. So in the oral traditions, that's how in Samoa the men are tattooed as well as the women.
Interesting. Do we know where in Samoa the women went back to, or where they were from?
There was the name that was recorded in our oral history when we were there. I only know the names of the two twins, which was Tayama and Tilafainga. Those were the names of the two ladies, or the twins. The name escapes me now, but definitely maybe in our next Talanoa, I'll make sure that I have the actual location in Samoa where they arrived and where they shared the art of Veiqia to the people of Samoa.
Beautiful story. And then the Samoan communities have continued on with it. And now the Fijians are learning more about it and connecting with Veiqia, so it's very exciting. In regards to your projects at the moment, what are you working on that you want us to know about?
Yes, thank you. Because of my work in the museum field, I'm currently writing a book on museum collections and repatriation, exploring ways on how we can be able to engage with international museums and connecting it back to Fiji, and also how international museums can connect with the Fijian diaspora all around the world. So that's one project that I'm working on at the moment. The other one is thanks to COVID-19, which pushed me to get used to this technology. And from 29th of April, I started doing this online storytelling, which was done really out of fun and trying to make use of my time, because by the time we were doing teaching from home, I had a lot of time on my hands. And also there was a mother in Fiji who contacted me to tell me that, oh, my son doesn't know what COVID-19 was. He was listening to the news and on TV. This boy was 9 years old. I have to acknowledge this lady, Merinda Ningasi. She's from the island of Nairai. And her son is Manoa, who is from Kandava. So they were having a mother-son conversation. And the question I asked Merendani was, can you tell me what language is the person on TV using? And she said, oh, she's listening to the Fijian news, which is in English. And that's when the idea came into my mind, where I need to start sharing information of COVID-19 into Fijian. So that's how my Talanoa with Dr. T digital platform started, where I started talking about COVID-19, which I've translated the COVID-19 to get these stories to the children. So my aim was really getting young ones to know about COVID-19 in our own mother tongue. And now we've gone past COVID-19, and now I'm utilizing the platform to talk about Fijian prehistory, Fijian history, and talking about artifacts, and lots of things that I'm, creating online, and I'm so excited about that.
It's so exciting, I find that I've been following, from when it started, and I've noticed, it's increased in popularity. And I think partially because you have the knowledge, but also you're in the diaspora, outside of Fiji. So the way that you share it relates to a lot of us, because you've got experience growing up at home, but also growing in, at least three different countries. So you're able to share it in a lot of different ways. And I'll just show you this here. This has been circulating. You see this that you made? So this has been circulating the internet this week, because Fiji Language Week. So I've noticed an increase, and so people are using this
posters,
these posters that you created, and I've been hearing too, when I've been talking to different young people, they've been reading it. So, and they're doing it in their own time, and they're sharing it on Instagram and TikTok and all. So, it's good that, what you've created is encouraging the young people to learn, and us older ones too, so very exciting. Yes. And then, of course, you're still doing your lessons as well, like your classes?
Yes, absolutely.
Private lessons.
That's right. So I do private lessons. So at the moment, I've got classes for families and young ones in Sydney. So we have classes every Monday afternoon at 4. So 4 to 4:30 are for children under the age of 17. And then from 4:30 to 5:15 are for adults. So anyone from the age of 18 up. And that's on Mondays. But on Sundays, I have classes with families in England. So there's a really huge interest from, around the world. And so I've been started, I think there's about 4 families that started now on Sundays for England. And then this Friday, there's another lot of Fijian families with their children starting, I think as well on Friday at 8 o'clock. These are the children in the Midlands of the United Kingdom. So I think the place called Stokes. I think you might heard that place before. So I really want to acknowledge Losalini Steva, who reached out to me. She was my junior in Anditakumbao School. And then also to thanking Pauline Tuima Kautonga, also mother of 2 in England, who reached out to me as well, who I found out she's also an ex-call of Anditakumbao. And then I met another one that Pau invited. Her name is Rusila Halfaki Ravono, who is from the island of Fulanga, and she's got a 9-year-old son. And then when they came into the class, then I found out that she's also from Anditakumbao School. So I'm really glad that this group of women who all went to ACS at some point at different times are all supporting this movement.
It's a strong network of women. And it's so good to see your work is getting out, all across the world. One thing that strikes me talking to you is that, when when changes happen, like COVID, you know, you rose to it, you adapted, and then you were able to create something new, you know. A lot of people through COVID, you know, thought, I'll just stay home and wait. I won't work, I won't do anything. But, you know, you and a few other successful Fijians that I've spoken to, they looked for the silver lining, you know, and the opportunities, and they just went with it, you know, and it's turned out well. So that's a good lesson for all of us to, you know, always look for the positives in every situation. You know, and
Yes,
your
you're
resilience.
absolutely right.
Yes, so thank you very much. I'm mindful that, you know, you're a busy woman. You have lots of you have another session on after this. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we close?
Yeah, I think I just like to really encourage the parents who are listening in to support their children in their learning. I've you know, interviewed some young people who often shared with me that sometimes they feel shy, or they feel like you know, it's something that they cannot achieve. So I really want to encourage our youths and our young ones, you know, never to lose hope. That it's never too late to learn your language or learn about your culture and have fun learning that as well. So that's for the young people. And for the our older ones and maybe our parents who are listening in is, you know, look for ways to support your children, because I know that they want to learn, and make them feel safe while they're learning about their culture or learning about their language. Sometimes a lot of our young ones, you know, this is a totally new experience, a new language that is very foreign to them, even though they are from Fiji, but they may have been born overseas. So it's very understandable that Fijian will be their third or fourth or fifth language. So the huge support that needs to be given to them is something that I really want to encourage our parents to provide to their children, and the young ones never to be shy to ask for help. And then the other one too that I want to end with is just acknowledging my two children who Leo was born in New Zealand, and Marawarita was one when we left Fiji to come to New Zealand, and they've really been a huge support for me because of technology. That's not my area, as you can imagine. Technology is really foreign to me. So my daughter helps me with social media, and my son helps me with my YouTube videos. And also I have to really thank my husband, Kali Vunidilo, for being the cultural advisor, in being the big support for all of us. So it's really nice that you know, we can be able to do this online and digital forum as a family affair. So it's kind of all of this thing done with love, you know, and we're doing it freely, sharing everything that we find online or through the books that we read, and we share it with our young ones because we believe that they will be our future. They will be our tomorrow.
Very good. It's beautiful, the family, you know. You've got the whole team, and it's a beautiful example for you know, other families out here and working together. And, you know, parents and young people, they've got the knowledge, you've got the knowledge, bringing it together, and amazing things, and it's only going to get better. And I just remember your daughter is also an entrepreneur as well. She's got some amazing jewelry, which I'll have to order for my daughter and I. But if we go to your Facebook and your Instagram, there's information.
Yes, so she's got her own page too, which is called Bati Boutique.
That's right.
Batii. That's actually the part of her middle name. So her first name is Merwe Rita Rokumbati Vunidilo, and so she used her middle name to start up her own online business. And yes, I'm really proud of her. She's a go-getter, and she's very stubborn in a very good way. You know, she thinks of something and she, you know, she takes it forth, and, you know, wanted to achieve her dreams. And myself and Kali, we just there to support, and definitely her brother Leo is always there to help her with calculations and maths and all these things. You know, when you are being a businesswoman, looking at taxation and all these percentages of GST and all of that, the brother comes in and helps her. So it's really wonderful that she was actually inspired by my Talno with Dr. T, because I asked her to do some posters for me because she's very creative. And so she did my poster on the Yasana, the 14 Yasana of Fiji. And while she was working on it and she was listening to one of my classes, she got the idea, and she told me, she said, "Mom, I'm very inspired by what you were saying today. Is it okay if I turn this Vasavakaviti into gold?" And I was like, looking
That's
at her.
gold.
Yes, absolutely. It was a golden moment. And so she was, starting to put up ideas. I encouraged her. I said, "Yeah, write it down." And so I'm wearing one of her necklaces here, where she, she surprised me. I didn't know she did it for me. So she created the line on writing names, and then she ordered it for me, and she gave it to me on the day that I wasn't expecting it. So it's really, really beautiful. So now she's opened up custom-made necklaces for anyone who wants, the names of their islands, the names of their family, whatever that you want, she will make it.
Beautiful. I wonder where she gets these inspirations and the work ethic from. I just wonder.
I wonder about that too.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see the next generation and the work continuing. So
Absolutely, Sarah.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. It's always a privilege and very inspiring to share with you, to listen to you and, Talanoa. So I look forward to hearing more of your work and seeing more of you online, and take care, and, lots of love to the family, and we'll be speaking again soon.
Vinakavalevu, Thelma, for the invitation that you extended to me, and I'm so happy that I can be able to share my talano with you, and I hope your audience will benefit from it too. Vinakavalevu.
Vinaka, take care.
Vinaka.